everybody, to our weekly energy tips, energy talk, and online meditation here on Skype. My name is Jona Bryndis, and I'm so glad you could all make it here. Every day we come together to meditate, to talk about energies, and to get a little bigger, more holistic picture of what is going on here on this planet. It's wonderful to see that you guys are coming from all these different places of the world. I'm located in the United States in Florida. And as you can tell, I'm outdoors. We have outdoor noises here from time to time. As always, I want to get started with just inquiring about how your personal situation has been in this last week. How have these things that are really sort of cramming in on all of us, whether it's decisions regarding our health, whether it's decisions regarding our jobs, maybe if we want to move or if we want to stay in a relationship, there's a lot of sort of fundamental decisions, so it seems that we all need to make, and there's a little bit of, I don't know, I don't want to give you guys markers that could predispose you, but that make us feel in a certain way. How do all these big decisions, how do they make you feel? Do you feel like, oh, that's easy, I can make these decisions, no problem? Or do you feel rather like, wow, that's a lot, that triggers a lot in me? Maybe you get caught in this inner back and forth. How is this translating for you guys? Where are you at in these bigger picture decisions? Life decisions, maybe course corrections as I forecasted it. How does this feel like for you? Who wants to share? Okay, Cindy's sharing. Almost like a Mercury retrograde feeling. Whoever knows what that means, nothing is going quite as planned. Good things and some challenging things. Yeah, if we take the Mercury retrograde feel, which for those of you who know a little bit about astrology, always means like the unexpected, the sort of blockage. All of a sudden, things don't work out. Computers break, the dishwasher stops working, car has a flat tire, stuff like that. We won't have a Mercury retrograde until the very end of this month. But yes, sometimes there are some of these precursors. But this is something different right now. This has been going on for 2 weeks already. It's something that has to do with us really standing strong and knowing what we want. And if we don't, if we wobble, if we can't make a stance, it seems like a tiny little breeze can just sort of topple us over. So really what this is right now is kind of like a testing. We're all being tested. And how serious we truly are in our, we are talking energies here. We often talk about spiritual things, but how strong we are in our own soul's sovereignty, in our spiritual thinking, in our spiritual being, and with it, the ability to see the world from all these different levels of being, and thus becoming able to make decisions that are integrous for us. It's a test, guys. It's about us knowing it.
I'd like to share a little bit, if I could, with a little caveat because I kind of I've been doing great. I feel really good. But I think the reason is it's partly pathological, in a sense of something going on with my body. So because of that, it's changed my whole emotional state. It's changed my whole kind of state of being. And I won't go into that too much, but I have zero complaints. That's all I, that's all I have to say. And everything's going really well. Making progress in a lot of different areas that I've been working on a really long time. So I have zero complaints. Feel great, and it's partially because of a health regimen that I'm on right now. But that's making a really big difference. But other than that, I have zero complaints. So just wanted to share that.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, we seem to have lost audio from you.
I turn myself down when you talk.
Okay, you're back now. You're back.
So this is interesting, Kirk. We don't have to go into this if you don't want to share, but you mentioned that there is some kind of shift that has happened, kind of like where you were forced to change something, a regimen, maybe a diet or something. And this has done something to you. And I find that very interesting, the way you contextualize this, because first it sounded a bit like, ooh, something terrible may have happened, but then you at the same time say, this is really, I don't know, I'm reading between the lines, Kirk, but this is like waking me up. I'm fully present. I'm doing this now. I'm
Hmm.
okay with this. I have no complaints. Is that how you wanted me to
Yeah,
understand that?
actually, it's just the opposite. Something really great happened, and
Okay.
and it has to do with my health, just out of the blue. And I don't want to turn it into a testimonial for a product, but I kind of stumbled onto a new type of oxidative therapy, and I realized that how big of a difference it makes to have your body working right, as far as that having an effect on your brain, so yeah, I mean, I'm like, wow, how could this possibly be? Never experienced anything like this, and in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on. Yeah.
So you discovered something that makes you become stronger, makes you become function better. You said it
Yes.
affects your
Yeah,
brain, as we have
absolutely.
been talking about here in the past weeks. What affects our brain also affects our emotions, and it affects our ego behaviors, okay? Because there's a
Hmm.
part in us, regardless of how spiritually aware we are, the body mind, as I called this, that is inevitably linked into our physiology. And so
Yep.
there are some issues in our life that we just can't meditate away or address
Exactly.
spiritually. It's not
Exactly.
enough to think of the ideal or, like how it should be. We have to heed and honor the parts of us that are here, that are 3D, that are, in your case, male, in my case, female, that require us to to really work with this if we want to have this optimal spiritual output. And I hear a lot of hope in that, Kirk, that as you are realizing how your physical condition actually influences your emotions, maybe the way you're thinking,
Major,
and the way.
major. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I didn't want to sidetrack. I hope that wasn't too much of a sidetrack, but
Not at all. It was
yeah.
full on, actually, bullseye, because not only did I pick health, overall health, holistic health as our meditation subject today, step 8 from our Sacred Self-Healing
Oh my
online
goodness.
course. You were like spot on. It's also the theme right now, the theme of how to approach a healthy life, not just the physical health. Obviously, that's all amplified through the COVID situation in this world. And we've been in this for a year now, so things have evolved and we've experienced certain things that made us stronger or less susceptible. And we've also experienced things that perhaps make us more susceptible, things that make us stronger and things that make us weaker. And this is really what I wanted to talk about today, because we're being tested in this right now. This has to do with our inner integrity. And inner integrity always has to do with our awareness. Do I even know what makes me strong? Do I even know, this is the biggest issue for most people, what makes me weak? What makes me susceptible to things, so that, like, say, viruses and bacteria, for example, or just chronic conditions can simply get a hold of me more likely than, you know, things that I can do to really step into my health authority and knowing that I can make a difference. So the overall energetic situation that we are in right now, guys, has to do with powerlessness versus stepping into our own authority. And for many of us, because that's how we are conditioned, that's how we are trained, that's how we are schooled, we're not really in full possession of our authority. We are very externalized, whether it's our health, you know, we seek solutions on the outside, whether it's our money, whether it's our relationship. And I don't want to talk about blaming or anything. It's just this to-go place that we immediately make ourselves depend on the outside. Yes, and that's exactly, Cindy, this is where this goes. Why are we doing that? Because if we externalize solutions, right, then you sharing here, making decisions and following through outside of comfort zone, this is the solution part, yeah. If I am externalizing it, if I'm saying, well, there's nothing I can do, we have a pandemic, I can't, this is like a disaster or a apocalypse or something, and all I can do is take a vaccine. All right, in that moment, we are externalizing our health authority. All right, and the solution to finding our own integrity in all of this is not going against things or fighting against the virus, making it go away, or whatever else it is, you know. So, yeah, sometimes we have to change the conditions, sometimes we have to quit the job or leave the partner, okay, if it's too toxic, if the terrain that we are producing with engaging in something that makes me weak, that makes me more unhealthy, yes, sometimes I need to change that. But for the most part, the one piece here that we all forget to tune into is, well, what can I do to strengthen myself? What can I do to be stronger in myself, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically? How can I strengthen my immune system? And that is something that has to do with our inner duality, because these masculine and feminine polarities that we have in us, right? On one hand, the masculine energies that we all have that make us, go fight against something, protect the borders, have a goal, have a direction and go against it and go harder. The harder it gets, the harder we go. Stands in juxtaposition to these feminine parts in us that we also all have, has nothing to do with gender, that allow us to see, okay, wait a minute, maybe I just need to increase the space. Maybe I just need to nurture, you know, the ground. Maybe I need to put better food, more water, and more
Mm.
love into my life, all right, so that I'm simply not that susceptible. And guess what, guys? The principles of healing are exactly those. They're both together. And when they work together, that is when we can be strong and integrous. It is whenever our inner energies go out of balance. And you can see this here. I'm using my hands to create a bit of a seesaw to make this or to visualize this. When our, let's say, masculine energies here on the right, when they are too much expressed, when we get too caught in trying to fight against something or going external with things, then our feminine qualities and skills, they automatically go balanced along with it. When we start balancing it out, we have access to both. When we go a little too much into the feminine, which is the helplessness and or these kind of things,
That's not me, by the way.
turn off the background noises here. When we go too far to the left and we go into like a blind faith and blind trust and everything is going to work out fine and I just have to follow the crowd, that would be sort of an imbalanced feminine expression, when there is no stance anymore, when we just let ourselves get swept away by the outside. Okay, so the goal is to be here. And this is not to say the goal is to be up there. The goal is to be here, no matter where. Okay? We need to find this equilibrium where we are in balance with ourselves. We call, in energy work, we call this integrity, inner integrity. And the more integrity we have, which has to do with our self-awareness, which has to do a lot with what we allow to come in and what we put out. It has a lot to do with us. It's not just external. External, if at all, is just one part of it. It has to do with how we handle and how we respond. In other words, what we put back out, how we interact. And the testing that I mentioned earlier has to do with us not being aware of this interaction, this two-way part. Many of us, those of us who are too far lost in the outside world, who are too much relating to their feminine energies, we feel like we have no power. There's nothing we can do. And those of us who are a little too far on the masculine part and say, I'm going to fight against this and I'm going to prove that this is wrong, okay, we too lose our inner integrity. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not about who's right. It's not about who's stronger. It's about us being able to make a stance for ourselves. And that is called self-authority. And for that, we need to go inward to even feel something like that. Where am I at right now? And does this make me feel strong or does this make me feel weak? Does this create a good condition, a good terrain? Or does this feel toxic? Does this wear my energy out on a day-to-day level? And here's where the comfort zone comes in. Asking you guys right now, Kirk, you're the only one with video here, so it seems like I'm asking you, but obviously I'm asking
I'll be
you.
happy to answer. Sure. What's the question?
What do you think comfort zone is in that seesaw, in that question of whether things make us strong or weak, whether they...
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good question. Comfort zone for me, when I'm feeling weak, comfort zone, or when I'm feeling, um, out of balance. For me, comfort zone is all the stuff that would bring me pleasure. So, I became like a, like kind of food. Can I do give myself to feel better, because that's like something that's like could offer like a way out of the black hole of just being empty and weak and unable to just do anything other than just survive, right? Just to pure survival mode. Okay, what can I do?
If you look at it from an energetic perspective, which is always the more holistic perspective, you gave a fantastic description of what it feels like, comfort zone. But look at it from the outer, more from the overall picture. What is it supposed to do? It's two things it's supposed to do. One you just described. It's supposed to bring you pleasure, to, well, get you through somehow, right? to bring relief.
Mhm.
Yeah, is that fair to say?
Yeah, relief. Absolutely, relief is the
Relief.
word. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some
And
kind of
the,
relief.
and the second part, which is kind of implied, but we don't often think about it in this way, it's supposed to maintain, right? I mean,
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah,
don't
other
impose
than
change,
other than just these fixes over and over, we need some kind of stability, right?
but it's an illusion of stability, right? I mean, let's say our seesaw looks like this and we feel really shitty, okay? And now we go in our comfort zone, eat a bag of chips, do some Netflix binge
And it
watching.
makes it worse.
So the motivate or the intention of that is to stay like this. To stay, to keep it there. Just please don't go even worse,
Oh,
right?
I see
This
what
is,
you're saying. In other words, keep the downward spiral from going further down.
well, we're not aware of that. What we're
Okay.
not realizing is when we try to white knuckles stay here, okay,
Uh-huh.
this takes an enormous amount of energy.
Right,
That's why
because it's resistant, Yeah.
yeah, the natural state is actually that. But we are imbalanced due to our choices, due to our way of thinking, due to our approaches, beliefs, conditioning, and so forth.
Well,
But to
body
keep it that
chemistry,
way,
I think, is the huge one that we don't even realize is happening. It's
I
what I was
talk
bringing
about
up
this
today.
all the
Yeah.
time. It's huge. Body chemistry plays a huge role. Whenever we are in coping, we are tied to our body chemistry. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're thinking with the body mind. We're not thinking with the heart mind. It's the one that we are training right now. That's the heart mind. We're trying to detach from, like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Whatever. We're trying to feel with that part in us that can think and feel at the same time, but is not dependent on it. So if we are trying to maintain our comfort zone, which is body mind, yeah, like just keeping ourselves just above water, so to speak, we're wasting a lot of energy. And guess what happens with this state? The state is not sustainable. We will eventually run out. And that is why so many people need to either seek more pleasure, yeah, higher highs, yeah, better drugs or better coping mechanisms, right? Or completely sort of fall apart because they can no longer
The
sustain.
breakdown eventually hits at some point. You're going to break
Yes.
down one way or another. Yeah.
This
I've
place,
definitely been through that before.
we all have. This place is the only place that's sustainable, guys. And it's also, and this is the hard part, because we hear all these spiritual teachers talk about, oh, effortless manifestation and all that. Well, it kind of is. It's just that we really don't know what that feels like because it's been so long, or maybe ever. Yeah, never.
Been like this for years, right?
Yeah,
A lot of people, right?
yeah. All our lives, for the most part, because the piece that's missing is the self-awareness. And this is what's being tested right now, guys. Okay, this whole month of May is in working on the theme of harmony. How can we harmonize things? And guess what harmonizing means? Harmonizing is the process of bringing things that are out of balance into balance. And there's no judgment in that. It doesn't matter what kind of imbalances in my life I discover. The correction is always the same, namely finding out which parts of that are strengthening, which parts are weakening, and how can I bring this back in balance. And whatever I encounter in that process, namely my inner resistances, they're the ones I need to work with. Because why am I not changing it? Why am I staying in that relationship? Why am I not stopping to drink alcohol? Why am I not exercising? Why am I not moving? Why am I not starting my own business? Why am I not doing it?
I want to say, at least in my case, I could answer that in one sentence. You know, pathologically wasn't capable. It had nothing to do with my attitude. My attitude was, you know, my awareness of what needed to be done was always there. But if your body chemistry doesn't allow you to go from, you know, there's no strength there to make even the simplest change, even if you have all the complete willingness to do it.
Yes, it's not just the physiology, but it is for most of us. When we are in coping means seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. We are always tied to our physiology. That's the ego mind, the body
mind. But
if
there's no way to override the physiology,
no.
Then you're stuck, right?
That's the biggest New Age trap, okay? To say, oh, just forget about your body, just forget about your emotions. That's all lower stuff anyway. And to just go up there and you'll find the solution up there. No, this physiology has to go up there along with it. Right. Without it can't happen.
The whole package, you know, together. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the part that we have to understand here, that when it comes to healing, self-authority, actually making changes in our lives, regaining harmony in our lives, no matter what area of life, we need to step up. And it always starts with that inventory, with us executing this power of consciousness, this power of insight that can provide us with, this doesn't have anything to do with judgment, just simply the awareness that certain things, certain choices in my life are weakening for me. And if I don't do enough to balance that out, it's going to get to me because it's going to wear me down. So it's not just the body, it's also the emotions, it's also the thoughts and the beliefs, our spiritual beliefs, and our overall energy. A lot of people, overall energy has to do with all of the above or all of the below, all right? But a lot of people don't realize how much overall energy, life energy, they're wasting on fighting against things instead of letting go of the fight and to strengthen the other side. It would automatically make that seesaw start becoming more balanced. So a lot of times, and this is something we all need to heed, it means to let go of things.
Yeah, the resistance is huge because it takes tons of energy to maintain that, you know.
Yeah, so but a lot of times what we need to do to balance things out is not to do more or get more or have more. It's to let go more of the things that we are like holding on white-knuckled.
Yeah, because that is resistance. Holding on is resistance.
And that's the comfort zone in a nutshell. Okay, this is what we're up against. And our comfort zone is not just produced within ourselves, it's also influenced from the outside, from the people that we're with, from the things, ideals that we identify with, energetic conditions, weather conditions, as well as, karma and these things that we come to this world with. So this week, guys, this next week from the 8th to the 14th is going to be a very, very tricky week. Collectively, there is a lot of inflammation going on right now. Yeah, this process of taking an inventory and looking at all of this isn't go over well collectively. So there is a lot of dirt, there's a lot of imbalance that has accumulated, and people are feeling very, very restricted, very blocked. And they also feel something like a sudden loss. Okay, this is kind of like this Mercury retrograde feeling that you described, Cindy, in the beginning. Just all of a sudden, you feel like you run against the wall. And that is not going to go over well collectively. So brace yourself here. As far as the outside conditions is concerned, they're not going to be very healthy for us. But that doesn't mean that we are powerless. That doesn't mean the world's going to go under. It means that we need to focus on what? On balancing that out from within. We need to focus on how to change the terrain within ourselves, how to change our attitude, how to step into more self-healing. And for many of us, it means to recognize that stepping into our self-authority means to claim our own integrity. It means to say, this is what I stand for. Because if I don't stand for anything, I can get swept away by everything. All right. The good news is communication is going to go a little easier next month. So those words that come out of us, or writing letters, or everything that has to do with the feminine approach, that is a little softer, that is a little more understanding and compassionate, will come more easy to us. All right. So ultimately, it's about consciously adding the feminine approach to our overall life approach and life's decision. Yeah. So the best tip that I can give you is to increase the space to heal. I don't know if you can see the visual of that, but when things get very, very restrictive, okay, and we can barely breathe, and everything becomes sort of like really sort of clamping in on us. Can we be successful by fighting against all these outer things? Or should we just like burst it from the inside and create more space for us? That's how we do this. This is self-healing. We need to focus on our inner healing space. And a lot of times, Kirk, I agree with you. It has to do with the densest levels of our perception, namely how we perceive our body, how we feel in our body, what we put into our body, but not just the body, because body, mind, and emotion are intrinsically hardwired. So it's also the emotions that we allow in, and they determine the way we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves determines how we think about ourselves, and how we think about ourselves determines how we see our outlook in life, and how we see our outlook in life determines how we see life and how we see the world. Can you see what I'm talking about? It's mostly a shift in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think because my focus has been on perspective for the past 20 some odd years, that's not an area that I'm really weak in. The perspective is, I always have the home perspective, the overview, the big picture is like seconds away. So for me, the opposite was, how do I get the strength physically? How do I get my mind working cognitively so I have the strength to come alive again? Because perspective for me is seems like really simple now because I've gone through it so many times.
Right. It's just one half of the process. Okay.
Right.
That is something that most of us need to focus on to increase right now. We still have that physical component, and this was my second energy tip, was to step into action. To not.
I mean, action is definitely. When it's possible, it's definitely great to have, but if it's not possible, if there's a barrier physically, right, then you're stuck. That's all I'm saying.
That's exactly what we've been talking about. You have to break through the barrier, and you break through the barrier in this state. You cannot break through the barrier in these states, okay, because you don't have enough power to break through. You need to bring yourself first into that balance, whatever it is that you need to do. Most need to add more feminine energies or feminine approach to their life because they're too clamped in, too opposed everything, all right, and too sort of white knuckled about holding on to things. That's the masculine. Some of us have the bigger picture and don't have a problem with that, but lack the action, lack the power to follow through, to materialize, to do one thing, to make it tangible.
Yes, that's been the story of my life.
Yes, so this is where we all are at. Kirk, thank you for volunteering here. Yeah, this is where we're all at, and it's different for each and every one of us, what it is that we need to balance out. But I can tell you one thing. If we never take an inventory, if we never look at it from the outside, so even though you just said you never had a problem with perspective, it did seem to be like a bit of a surprise to you, okay, that the physiological component is such an important component of the overall balance. So it's not that we don't know it. It has nothing to do with us not understanding it. It has something to do that I called self-awareness earlier, to really be honest with ourselves and say, hey, wait. You know, why am I even standing here? Am I even sleeping enough? Am I even, having enough sort of physical rebuilding every night, okay, that my body is in a balanced state? How am I feeling emotionally? I might be making a lot of money, but I'm really feeling lonely, or I'm really feeling sort of separated. That can also massively impact my inner balance. And what about my thoughts? Do I have thoughts that are negative? Do I express with my body, with my words, that life is so hard, that life is a struggle? Do I focus on victimhood, either my own or other people's? Right? Or is my spiritual belief that, the dark forces are coming in and taking over, and, I got to go fight? And, can you feel that in my exaggerations? There is a lot of inner imbalance in that. And not to say that you have to sit there on a mountaintop and just sort of zen everything out and say, oh, yes, everything's perfect the way it is. Oh, that is a spiritual truth, but that can only be our normal state, okay, if we are not actually interacting with 3D on an everyday level. I don't know about you. I have kids, I have pets, I have a house, I have a job that I need to do. I have a lot of 3D life to interact with, okay? I cook food, I have to go to the store, all these things, and I stump my toe and I have bad nights, okay? So I have to deal with 3D, even though I'm a very spiritual person. And that is inventory. To be in that place, to say, all right, this is a constant.
To be able to recenter, after all of it, having a good way, meditation is definitely key, all of the other things, everything, it's all,
Don't get
never ending cycle.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I teach spiritual insight, and self-healing is obviously my mission. Okay, so one spiritual insight can make a huge difference in a person's life. But when it comes to the actual sort of management of energy, management of life force, it's not enough. All of it. So the seesaw was just a sort of visual for polarities, for two aspects in our life. Now look at it in its whole complexity. It's maybe 6 or 8 dimensions that work with us, within us, okay? And this is our job. This is our authority, guys, and we have that power to do that. We just need to be in truth with ourselves. Yes. All right, guys, so let's move into our meditation space now, this healing space, to increase clarity, to increase the healing space within which we want to explore all of this, because all my words and even your wonderful sharing here, thank you, Kirk, are just words until you experience it for yourself, until you have your inner experience, your experience of your body, emotions, thoughts, spiritual insights, connection with your true self and your soul. And this is what we practice with these energy meditations. Again, they come from our Sacred Self-Healing Experience course. You can buy these meditations one by one or join the course with the workshop, with the workbooks and regular workshops. We have a workshop tonight for all Sacred Self-Healing members called Harmony. And we are going to talk about the individual steps that we can take on these levels: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, and energetic, to maintain balance and to bring about more harmony and health in our life. So lean back. Let's do a quick sound check. Make sure that you guys hear this through your headset right now. It's really just a simple going into this inventory and allowing some clearing to happen, allowing this healing space to be there and inhabit it. It has a lot to do with authority, because when we go into this inner healing space, that's when we energize it. Very, very cool, guys. Thank you so much for coming to our online meditations, for coming to these energy tips. They will be published on YouTube here in a few hours. Wishing you a good week next week, and those of you who are Sacred Self-Healing members, I'm going to see you tonight.